Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Welcome again to I Speak to the Silence, where real talk in all things faith, wellness, and wholeness is crucial for transition and growth. I'm your host, Melissa Kay, and I am dedicated to speaking, teaching, and breaking the silence and stigma related to mental health challenges in every space provided. I'm a therapist, a mentor, coach, and most importantly, I am a daughter of the King who is also blessed to be a mom, a daughter, and so much more. I'm truly thankful to come alongside you in this walk and this journey that we call life. Today's episode is simply titled Straight Talk, No Chaser. There's a lot that's going on in our world today. And the purpose of this podcast is to bring awareness not only to the benefits of taking care of our mental health, because how many of us know that mental health is just as important as our physical health? If you had an issue in your body, it could be as small as stubbing your toe. If that toe was not getting any better, it was turning black and blue, causing you pain, you would find yourself to somebody's doctor's appointment or doctor's office or the emergency room. Yet when we're not feeling our best, doing our best, or transitioning through various things and changes in life and situations that have occurred that we have no control over, there are some things that are happening internally, and yet oftentimes we don't seek out the help or the support that's needed to really make sure that we're on the right track to healing and healing well. Sometimes we're told just pray about it. Sometimes we're told don't worry about it. Sometimes we're told take a vacation and relax and then it'll be all better. But what if you do all those things and the feelings of pain and doubt or stress or anxiety or fear starts to set in? Then what? What do you do with those things? What do you do with the emotions that are keeping you up at night? What do you do when you're crying uncontrollably and you have no idea why? We're going to talk about some of those things. And part of that, in that, I'm going to share a few personal moments so you know who you're listening to and why this is so important to me. Unfortunately, as we look at what's happening in the world, and even as we look on some of the statistics, and I'll put this disclaimer on this podcast, while I do encourage young adults or young people to listen as well, we will talk about some things that may not be comfortable to hear, or it may not be the best for them to listen on their own, because there are some topics such as suicide, such as rape, such as trafficking that may come across this platform, and even guests that may have experienced those areas or are working with individuals that have experienced traumatic events. And so, this is just a disclaimer. There are various things that may come up on this platform and on this podcast. While they are important, I would encourage that if you have anyone that is a teenager that cannot handle such conversations, that they not listen to this on their own. But with that said, I was looking at some stats and some numbers, and again, they are staggering and so disheartening. But do you know that 1 in 5 adults are living with a mental health challenge? Now, that's what's according to the SAMHSA, if you go on SAMHSA's website, or the CDC. But I honestly believe that that number is even much lower. Given all that we've experienced, I believe that number could be 1 in 3. 1 in 3 adults. at any moment are living with a mental health challenge or illness. And then looking also at the CDC report, the highest and leading or second leading cause of death among youth ages 10 to 14 is suicide, completing suicide. Along with those numbers, believe it or not, in the African American community, men are leaving this earth quickly due to suicide. And so these are things that we heard about for some time during the pandemic because it just seemed like there was so much going on, but we don't hear much about it anymore. And I said to myself, why is that? Especially in the faith community. These are things we don't talk about. We shun from these things, these topics. And part of it I've heard from various ministries and even well-known leaders that yes, while there is a spiritual battle, and I 100% agree, there is a spiritual battle because the word tells us to not have a spirit of fear. And the word tells us that, we should have a sound mind. The word tells us how to clothe ourselves, with righteousness, and we can go on and on. However, when things happen, circumstances change, as a human being, how do I handle those things? And how do I handle the thoughts that are constantly bombarding my mind that it just seems like I can't get rid of them? No matter how hard I pray, no matter how hard I fast, I read the word every day, I sing the Psalms, I sing praise and worship, and nothing is working. And people in those situations are made to feel that they're not doing enough. Or they feel, I guess I'm just not saved enough. There was a point in my life where things in my marriage at that point were beyond a hot mess. Okay? There's just no way of putting it. And one day we'll talk about that too. We'll really have some real talk then. But here I was, a young woman. I've been saved all my life, pretty much raised in church all my life. My dad used to sing in the chorale in Jamaica. Jamaica Youth for Christ is what they were called, if I remember correctly. So I was one of the babies that traveled with them. So when I say I was in church all my life, I literally mean all my life. And so when things were just ridiculous, to say the least, in my marriage, and I didn't know what else to do, and I tried various things. I tried, to change how I look. I tried to learn new things, if you know what I'm saying. I tried to, I can't tell you the amount of things I tried. But it wasn't enough for there to be security in the relationship. And it wasn't enough for it to end the way that it did. And so during that time of just not knowing what else to do, on top of the fact that at least we were trying to have a child, and we're now years in and still could not get pregnant yet. I had wedding presents, as I love to call them, that came with the marriage, and love them to life, cherish them always. But it's nothing like having your own child. Nothing like being able to hold that baby and know that this was your child. And so seeing others getting pregnant and even throwing baby showers for others and dealing with what we're dealing with, trying to figure out how to fix my marriage, trying to also keep a smile on my face and go to church, sing praise and worship, lead the dance ministry, being a part of women's ministry, all the things, doing all the things. I thought I was doing all the things right. But yet, as soon as I would leave those locations or leave work or just get in my car and it's just me by myself, not around anyone after being the social butterfly, I felt worn out. I felt tired. Sometimes I felt annoyed. Sometimes I felt disgusted. Sometimes I just didn't know how to feel. I felt numb. I felt nothing. And there was one point where I went home and I was in the kitchen and I looked at some silverware. And I just said, I wonder. And I knew where that was going because at that time, I might either have been in school for being in my master's program for psychology and counseling, or maybe this was after. Either way, I knew where it was going. So I quickly put the utensil down. Really, it was a knife. I put it down, put it back, and I went upstairs and I cried my eyes out. Because at that point, I felt like I was completely alone. I felt like I wasn't saved enough to not even have the strength or have the discipline or, have the faith to know that that's not the way to think. Just all the things were flooding at one point. And I could do nothing but just cry myself to sleep. Only to wake up the next day, do it all over again, and to come home feeling exhausted because I couldn't share what I truly felt in those moments. I don't think anybody even knows about this. Maybe one person. But living in those moments, it felt like I was living in a tunnel. And there was no noise. I could hear nothing other than the thoughts that constantly flooded my mind. You're not good enough. If you'd done this, this wouldn't have happened. Other people's words or other people's statements. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. You're not praying enough. Continue praying. Pray harder. Read more. All the things. Only to come back home to silence. And I will say, in many moments of my life, had it not been for the Lord, I must admit, I can truly say, where would I be? But I also had to be honest with him about where I was. I had to be honest with him about what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was dealing with. I remember hearing, or I recall one of my leadership saying, God cannot heal what you do not reveal. And I felt so ashamed to even reveal that at any point I had thoughts of taking myself out. At any point, just wanting to go to sleep and not wake up. Just take me now, Jesus. Let me come home. Let me just be with you and I'll be done. I don't have anything. I don't want anything. I don't want to do anything. I can't do it. Because the pain of what was going on felt like a physical knife was stabbing me over and over and over again. Only to wake up and live with that pain with a smile on my face. Who do these people turn to when they feel like they're the only one in the world and no one cares? Or that they can't talk to anyone else in the world? Because in the family, you tell somebody that you're seeing a therapist? What? You crazy now? Something wrong with you. Oh, you don't need what? You going to talk to somebody. You better figure it out. Get over it. Especially if you're a male. Talk about feelings? Excuse you? We don't talk about that. Do something about it. You'll be all right. Drink something, take something, smoke something. Right? We're not given the space to be okay in not being okay. Because then when you're not okay, then comes judgment. And who wants to be judged? Who wants to feel judged? So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, I'm not the only one, know that no, you're not the only one that's going through challenges or have gone through challenges. You're not the only one who feels sadness at times that seems like it's never ending. You're not the only one that have to get yourself ready and psyched up and all right, we got this. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Just to push yourself out the door. You're not the only one that wonders, does God still love me? Even though I have some of these challenges, or some of these challenges seems like it's just not going away. In later episodes, we'll talk about understanding trauma and triggers and what to do with them, how to handle them, how to pray about them for sure. Because the other part is God can deliver and He can heal. Let's not take that away. But sometimes, especially people of faith, we don't leave room for people to be people. If someone has cancer or a terminal illness, it's almost like they get a pass to feel the way they feel. But if someone tells you they have ongoing sadness that stems from maybe things that have happened to them in their youth and they're an adult, we look at them in a different light. If we see a child that has an illness or it's evident that there may be something else going on, or potentially they may have been diagnosed with autism, being on the autism spectrum, or they may have been diagnosed with Down syndrome, or they may have been diagnosed with selective mutism or several other things. We look at them in a different light, and their parents, and whoa, how can we help? We'll definitely be praying. But what about the parents who had to call 911 because their child tried to harm themselves or harm someone else, and they had to go to the hospital, not for a medical situation? And it's okay to say you don't know what to do or you don't know what to say. It's almost better, I would say, to do that and be honest about it. I'm probably not the person to talk to about that. But let's find someone that you can talk to. We'll pray together that God will give you the strength to make it through and the discernment of what to do and how to handle the situation, and to give you the resources that you need as a parent, as a mother, as a father, as a grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle, raising children, adopted, step parents, whatever. But let me take it a step further and try to help you in getting connected with the right resources as you go through this journey. That's okay. To say, I'm here in the capacity that I can be here. And if I'm not the one to help you in this moment and in this season, let's get you to the one that can. So here's what I'm going to ask for all the listeners of this episode tonight, today, this morning, this afternoon. If you know someone that is dealing with a challenge and they may have even expressed to you that they just feel alone, share this with them. Sometimes they just need to know that they're not alone. I'm also going to encourage you to start to get familiar with your local resources. You never know if your family member may come to you one day, your friend, your spouse, your church member, your sister friend. They may come to you with a challenge and they don't know where to go or what to do. Find your local resources and just be familiar with them. If you need to, feel free, you can share this website with them, www.toolests.com. That is www.toolsts.com. Or they can find me on Facebook. I'm in Facebook, TTS The Journey. IG, they can find me at mkhart_TTS. They can find me even on LinkedIn. Look for Melissa Tools there. But ultimately, my desire is to inspire people to grow, to move forward, and to live a life that was made, designed, and purposed for them. Remember, you're really not alone. You were and are created with purpose and destiny. You are called to live to ignite and not to entertain. For those that need a quick getaway, I do have a great opportunity for women. This June, I'm hosting Women's Wellness Retreat 24. For details, you can visit me on those platforms, or you can just put in the chat, I want to go. Put in the comments, I want to go. And I'll send you the information to Women's Wellness Retreat 24. It is going to be located in Sedona, Arizona, but it is limited because this will be an intimate setting and it will be a group setting, yet therapeutic setting. We'll do some coaching as well. But I'd love to see you and have you. And if you can't make this one, don't worry. There's going to be more coming throughout this year and next year and beyond. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And again, you are made fearfully and wonderfully. And my desire is for you to live passionately. Stay blessed.